heavy map, if it's a very aggressive heavy map, you would theoretically favor them in terms of just bringing firefights and winning their ones. Go on. See you later.
I mean, I get it. Durza gets it as well.
There, if you want to know why it's a target, there it is.
Yeah, TrainHard used to love themselves some nice little Amaru plays, so this is not going to happen. I mean, it's coastline. Didn't really know where they were going to go up the hatch, but either way, as Malusi now gets banned as well, and there's going to be just one ban left on the defense. Could be an Aruni, could be Mira, could also be something completely different. We'll see. In 1 second.
It could also be something completely different.
It's Wamai.
It's Wamai. It's something completely different. Wamai is the last one that gets removed off the board there in the start of this showdown. The final one that we have today. We've seen some pretty lopsided games so far. We've seen, over 2 games, the CIS region were able to pull 1 round previously.
It's not much.
Though France was able to have a great showing, so will the success built upon them be something that TrainHard can get behind? We instantly see, well, that's a peculiar, not peculiar, it's a particular lineup on the attackers right there. Is something, surely something.
Is this team yellow?
There it is. Something gets pulled out. The swap to the Nook. I mean, Blackbeard has...
Wait, what year are we in?
Yeah, this is...
Are we year 6? Okay. Or are we year 3?
I want to see how this gets put together. The IQ's there. I mean, you think of Valkyrie and where she can sort of play on this map. It's a great bout of potential. We're opening on Penthouse. This is an interesting way to start Coastline.
Are we in warm-up or are we? We're going. No, we're going. All right. Interesting to see. Surely TrainHard, as they pick the map, will be well prepared of with their setups. Is just unconventional, something we didn't really see so far. This side, in general, not really that good. And if you play it, normally a mirror gets brought. Now, not the case at all.
Yeah, I think that's it. Is they've opted to extend with the castle. They obviously have the Goyo shields. They can swing around again. You have the extension holds through onto projector. You have those options. There's obviously those cams I talked about before with the IQ. They'll get the instant read on, hey, there's cams over there. She was detected on that side, and that's theoretically going to be a pretty easy pickup there for Leon. And it is. There they go. There they get dropped.
If he finds it, there we go.
There it is.
All right, gets that one. There was a second one tossed out, though. I think that's on the roof, so the Blackbeard will have to come up and take that one out. But it's a bit dangerous, as there is 2 people, one around the window, one around the door, and, well, you got to make sure that you're not going to get swung on. It's actually a little bit further. They're not able to get it from there, as it's right on top of it. So that one will be giving away some information for quite some while.
Well, in the meantime, they're still setting themselves. Otherwise, Blitz was the change off to the Nook. And Nook's, if you're going to think of how effective someone as a 6-pick could be, she's always up there for potential because her whole thing is not being discovered on an approach. And
just like Ivera, but
and you can get into a bit of a false sense of security with Nook as you can with a lot of other people. There's a bit of a cover here coming for Leon as he tries to make his approach. Milosh's BFF Corey is the one that's trying to make things stick together here as the first EU1D charges out across, and that allows Leon to just swing in with a little bit of cover, a little bit of support. There's a body on the window. That's Nora with a tight angle. He might be able to catch someone if the mood strikes him, but the swing comes through, and there's a double for Leon. One more, but it's Rips that ends up getting that 3rd kill. Chaoxis shut it down a little too late, and Voy has to rotate his way back in, but can't get too far.
Now, we're not going to see Corey go into yet, as he is, of course, playing on that Blackbeard. His whole job will be to pin them down behind that bomb chassis. As the call's now coming in, Corey will be able to pick up the kill into Void. Last man is now stuck behind the bomb chassis. Didn't know exactly where he is. And the final kill comes in. Corey picks that one up. A very, very clean round here from Rogue. And that basically shows what his site's not as good as might have been expected.
Yeah, I mean, Penthouse you don't see too much, as we said. It's
probably like a throwaway side as well. If you win it, you win it. If you lose it, well, you lose it. And we're going over to the actual side, the primary side, which is going to be hookah and billiards for TrainHard.
Yeah, that's entirely it. It's a site that you can play where there might be a little bit of a lack of concentration, because it's not the worst site in terms of sites that you don't see on maps. There is theoretically some success and some potential to be had there by a team that has very good plays. I know NA have done these cool extensions where you'll see them hold into 90, they'll have the double mirror set up, and they'll sort of play around these really good swings. But in EU, you don't see it too much, especially without a mirror when she's available. And as you said, even it's that sort of, let's see if we can make something happen here. Let's see if we can try and pull something out as a bit of a surprise. Oh, well, it's the first round. Let's go back to our standard rotation.
Well, let's get back indeed. And now we see a bunch of long angles being opened up all the way into Penthouse through VIP. Those might be used. Actually, we see openings all the way up on the top floor in the quad wall as well, I believe. Yeah, there you have it. And that will allow you to look all the way through towards the showers if you would open up that angle that far. So there is definitely some potential here, some possibilities to play for TrainHard. But you got to be careful because, yeah, there was a Blackbeard on the board last round that could use it. This time, not the case, but there's still a DMR, which of course has that big scope available to itself. That could really make some good use of these long angles as you open up. But Durza with the run out, able to pick up one, wants to go for second, and we'll be able to get that too.
Great second take there from Durza. You talk about the power of that Valkyrie and how quick that they can react to the intel that comes through. And there is a camera that was untested and entirely locked off with some great play. They're going to have to try to reconvene on the other side of the map, see if they can pull some solidity from what has otherwise been entirely removed from their play. Crying again on that nook way up above, waiting to see if anybody rotates on the innards of the Danger Donut, with Rips offering almost the counter peek, so they've got both sides covered. Leon is still looking for that first point of ingress, and to be fair, two bodies gone, you still have 2 minutes left.
Still only 2 minutes indeed, and it is a big disadvantage, but it is definitely one that you can close if you're careful enough and if you're smart enough. You just need to find the right angles. You just need to find the right cross angles. And with that, you might be able to find a kill or two and suddenly bring it back to equal. But now these long angles are coming into play. CKOX is holding it right now with the SMG. Might not be the best gun to try and take this gunfight with, especially not if you're coming up against a 5.52 or a Vector 308. But still have the opportunity to go for that one-tap. Spots out the head there, but will not be able to find it yet.
Oh, they've been able to creep through, and they have the cover of the E1D. Cryan suffers a little, but is able to take care of Chaoxis. In fact, he's in the sight. Leon gets dropped on the spin. They don't know he's quite there, though. Cryan gets one more, but now he is all that's left. The diffuser is a bit cold. They're rotating their way up. Cool vibes. The grenade is going to pop round, buy them some time, and allow them to take the fight behind. Fantastic sense there from Cryan. He's dug his way out of a bit of trouble. He has a minute, so he has more than enough time to rotate and reconvene. He's going to open up some options, drop the default, and place the idea of where am I? Instead, might try and spear his way back round from 90. That barb is going to cause some problems if he tries to creep his way past. He hasn't, I believe, gone for the hop over either, so he's not going to come up the bottom of Cool Vibes. He's just being steady. He can always rotate back round into where he was, and that's seemingly going to be the plan, the ploy.
That's such a good grenade.
I know, he's going deep just around the corner. Unfortunately, missed through it just a little. But look at the repositioning of Aruni. Aruni's gone now behind the bar. They've found themselves a fresh location after being droned out before. He still thinks that there's someone maybe playing on that close angle. He doesn't know they've both stacked up on this right-hand side, on this entry. They're having a bit of a conversation. They're waiting for a little bit more as they finally pop themselves in on this final 10 seconds. A bullet came over the top. He pre-fires, but Blaz is able to lock it off and TrainHard get their response.
If he was standing up, he would have been able to get that kill, but unfortunately he was crouched, and with that, it is the response of TrainHard indeed, but almost managed to bring it back. Some good information was being handed over to Rogue. Like, you saw him right there, able to go for that kill onto the backside as well, straight away. All these things could have been helping Cryan to potentially clutch this up to get the 2-0, but either way, it's one apiece right now, and do again see the line. We do also see the Oryx being hovered over. Question, of course, will be whether or not Blaz will stay. For now, it looks like it, and as the timer locks in, it will be. And again, we're going to say it. Such a big potential.
I know.
We want it to work. Now, we have seen a bit of an Oryx play earlier today, where he just ran through the castle barricade on the main door down in Consulate, able to pick up a kill as a result. And
it's like double shotgun. Maestro without an Alder.
Yeah.
When was the last time you saw that?
Well, I watch Benelux, so
okay.
I'm not gonna.
Every week.
It's every week, you know. It's just another day. They're ahead of the curve, as you can see.
Yeah, I guess that's a nice way of putting it. Okay, curiosities. Whenever you see an operator without their trademark gun, whenever you see, you know, as the easiest case, you've got Jaeger with M870. It's more common. But you're still like, huh, how's this going to go? I think it's very much the same when you have an Aldaless Maestro. Is, okay, let's see how this goes. Because, yeah, if it's successful, it's fantastic.
Yeah.
But you rarely see it, let alone rarely see its successes. So you're always curious about the decision-making behind a play and behind an operator selection like that.
It's not like they need a shotgun because they have one on Keoxes. They have the Bailiff and Void. They have a bunch of impact grenades as well. That they
also, if they really
have
need
an
it open,
Oryx, you know, there's like plenty of opportunities. So definitely, the ACS was a choice here that they really want to go with. And as Cryin knows that one is right above him, he's trying to go for a bit of a chase. The hatch has been opened up, but no drop will be coming down as of yet. And we'll just be waiting for now, whilst everybody of Rogue basically doing that, just holding off some angles, seeing if they can move in from somewhere because they're desperate to find an opening, because that is how Coastline works. You get an opening, you try and push from there on.
Still steady on the approach here. Dockerby's putting the calls down and seeing if they can find the body that's just close behind the pillar inside Sunrise Bar. Blaz is obviously just on that swing round on the opposite side of the door as well. It makes it a very uncomfortable situation to enter until Leon does that. Gets that opener kill on Sunrise, pushes them into a very tricky situation. Blaz responds so well though. Pushes in deep, gets the double perfect prediction there of Blaz, who has really opened with a scream. Cryin gets one on the front door onto the Lamborghini doorway and gives themselves a little bit back, puts us back to a 3-3, but this allows this big rotation from Blaz.
Yeah, big rotation possibility right here, but Cryin will be able to pick him up, and it's a bit anticlimactic after you just saw the Orcs dash into the Sunrise Bar, able to pick up that double kill, and now, unfortunately, will not live much longer. And with that, it is going to be a 2-3 situation here in favor of Rogue, but they do need to pick up that diffuser, and while Durza is still above, has that Nitro available, just accidentally sticks it to the doorpost though, and as the Nitro will be surely popping soon, could be used as a distraction tool, letting them know, hey, we are going to be playing vertical, even though that they will be on that ground floor.
See, I think they wanted to try and open that above the diffuser and try and get some of the eyes down there as well, but obviously since that's now gone, they're going for a big pick-up, a big rotation, and it makes it a little bit more costly. They've doubled themselves up on this front door. You can see Corey's putting pressure onto the kitchen window itself. Durza still has the hold from above, but instead is rotating around to the service side, and that could play into the hands of Durza. The C4 pops on the other side. They're trying to, as you said, draw some attention, which it has from Nook. They are putting a bit of danger in, but look at 15 seconds left. If Durza can pull off the most important play, well, he's a little late. They pop round, and Corey has the response, has the pickup and the tenacity to say, no, 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 this is my service entrance.
Just display aside, I was thinking, why would someone pick the ACS-12 over the Alda? And the only other reason I could come up with is the optic. It's a bit like a TCSG, but with more ammo.
Yeah, but the Alda's the Alda.
That is very true. The Alda is the Alda. The Alda has 81 bullets and goes burr.
And the Alda, on a site like that, you boil down the position that he was holding, and you boil down that kitchen. You have pretty much 3 angles if you're playing that role. It's deep down service, it's from the same position behind the chassis, deep down towards the bathroom entrance, or you're playing deep down the kitchen side towards Sunrise. It's 3 big straight angles where the outer is arguably at its strongest.
Like, I'm not trying to defend it, but I'm just been like, that could be the reason.
I mean, it could be the reason, sure. I don't think we'll ever truly know the reason until we ask.
Well, maybe we'll get an interview with them and we'll be like, hey, why does Voy use a TCSG?
Maybe. We've got a while to go there.
We've got a while to go, and Rogue's currently in the lead, so this is so far not really going according to plan. And as Rogue continues, they will be under attack still, and we're not seeing the Blackbeard that we saw before. I wonder if that is a counter-strat. I'm not sure. I haven't watched TrainHard's other Coastline games, but would they have gone to Penthouse there as well, which is why they potentially would have brought that Blackbeard, because it's so strong on that side, because we haven't seen it since.
I mean, the other thing to sort of tie us into as well is Blackbeard's potential on the top sites, and obviously the second story sites versus kitchen versus sunrise, which, you know, you see penthouse, regardless of the operators that are played, you expect it to be a bit of a let's see what we can do. Here, they've obviously already taken a hookah victory, so they know they're not going back to hookah, so the options become these 2 ground floor sites with potential penthouse, but they took penthouse without ever needing the Blackbeard before, so why not gamble more on a roster and a setup that can instead put the pressure here down beneath without needing that body on the window holding that rotation.
I was, of course, able to pick up 2 kills as a result, but that wasn't really key to the eventual win in the end. As Blast now being pushed out, the E1D comes in. They know exactly where he is, and he also checks one of his own drones, knows one is in office now, and as the phone rings, they will be very well aware of his position, will not be able to drone much further right here, so they have the information, and he's very close in the corner, and I believe that's a grenade that's being pulled and will be tossed in there as well. He's already long gone, however, and that means that that grenade will find no joy. Yeah,
he's out of there. Obviously, Voy's taking up the mantle of Oryx this time around, so Blaz is more on that control of information, going to play themselves a little bit closer towards that rotation onto the front desk, where we saw, obviously, a kill come through either way, and that's where they wanted to be, but were dropped on that rotation via the office. So it gives them a little bit more, I guess, pressure, but a little bit more that they can withstand, because they've been pretty great so far. Durs are still on the second story, uncontested for now. Rogue are kind of probing different angles, probing different doors and sights, and seeing if they can just get that first thread, that first bit to pull off Nook. Might be that they've crept themselves here with Leon on the cover. They dig themselves deep. They're going to go for that trade, and Leon swings around, finds it. Obviously, it was at the cost of Cryin, but they knew, and that's why you have yourself set up. Now they've got this sunrise control. There's still the concern of the Valkyrie above, though.
And the Valkyrie above will be in a key position to try and stop any plant from happening. It does also seem like they're aware of another player to be roaming up on that top floor, and that is going to be that mute of Chaoxis right onto the hatch inside of luggage, hoping to provide some cover to Blaz, who is playing around that area. This will be going for a bit of a drop down there. It's about 1 damage, nothing too much. Easily checking the bathroom as they now do move through the security here, and there you have it. That's the hatch that is being watched currently, and Chaoxis, he wants to confirm that kill, but it might be a bit too dangerous. Might have to go and commit to the drop, but in the meantime, Blast is coming from the back right here. We'll be able to pick up that double kill and clean up here for TrainHard.
Yeah, great positioning there from Blaz. As I said, he was playing that really aggressive situation there before. He was kind of peeking towards the front doorway. They lost it before, and now, well, any doorway seems to be as dangerous. Just leaves rips, but not for very long. TrainHard instantly back to the 2-2.
Keep on trading these rounds for now, and Rogue might be a bit afraid, considering the fact that this is not their map pick. So they would like to have a bit of an extra buffer going into that second half, and well, the opportunity of creating one is seeming to dwindle. There's only 2 rounds left. We're currently all drawn up, and that means 2 rounds is the most they can get. They'll be hungry to get it. TrainHard, of course, do not want to allow that. TrainHard want to make sure that they are starting this stage off strong, because they are still in relegation danger, of course. And I know I'm going to start about that really early on in the stage, really early on in the season even, as we're not even halfway through yet, but every point will count in the end. And the fact being, if you wanted the bottom 3, you want to make sure that, especially when Empire leaves points, especially when VP loses points as well, that you're the ones that is going to be walking away with 3 here today.
Okie dokie. Now, how can they reapply themselves towards this hookah site? As I said before, it was the sort of first victory. We hypothesized about the Blackbeard and the potential that they could bring, and we're, I guess, not getting it again. They sort of played it as an early hand and maybe wanted it as the double surprise, even though the Nook was the 6th pick. Since then, they've opted away from, at least this round, both of them. I think they haven't quite had the success of the sneakiness that they potentially wanted. Here, they've been a little bit more upfront. The line is also gone, so they've gone with a little bit less reliance upon that sort of big pop utility.
Yeah, we see the Twitch coming out now on Rips, and it might be helpful to deal with some of that utility, mainly the ADSs and the Evil Eyes, if they are located on the inside, of course. Not quite sure, besides that, what could be used for it. Leon will be finding one of the Valkyrie cams outside. Instead, takes out all the vegetation that's on the wall. And now they will be feeling a little bit safer as they're trying to approach the site, knowing that they will no longer be spotted. At least not from that cam, but it could be a second, of course. He's prone there.
Yeah, steadily lost, and obviously if that goes on found out, if that goes undiscovered, that could be something that causes a problem a little bit later on. It's like here's a problem I've prepared for later. It's down to, I guess, the positioning of Coastline, because one lost corner, one lost position can be a massive problem. Cryan has stacked himself up on that white window behind, is going to cut off the rotation and make sure they're in a very tricky situation. Needs a lot of support to come through here, but unfortunately doesn't come quick enough. Leon takes care of Void. They're going to dig themselves closer towards Durza, who's otherwise still dancing around, but pulls away from the drone and just hightails it out of there. Not before they get cut off, as Cryan finds one of their own. Suddenly, a lot of TrainHard has suffered on the other side of the map. You've still got Blaz underneath by that lobby, just leaving Chaoxis alone with a lot of space and a lot of time.
Seems like Jaeger died from a spawn peak. Good to know. Either way, Chaoxis able to pick up a kill onto Corey. That means it's starting off again to try and bring it back. They need to find 2 more to equalize that. And as Blast is trying to come around the corner, he managed to get the kill onto Aces, but certainly will be shut down right after by Leon Gids. And that only leaves Chaoxis in a 1v3 situation. With a minute left on the clock, it's plenty of time for Rogue. So they will be using their drones, the one that they have left, to try and find out where he's located. There's also a bit of utility probably available on Cryan they can use to try and go for these stuns, and Nitro will not be very successful. They just need to single him out.
Yeah, they hoped that somebody was obviously moving with that drone to get a bit of aggression, but no one was. It's a big bit of utility now that they have lost, and it's all down to just seeing if they can get the pop and the swing. 30 seconds, it's not doable, but it's in no way easy. They go for the big rotate. They're well aware the pressure's coming from Accra at this point in time, and they know it can't not go anywhere else. There's a moment where the C4 would be very useful. Unfortunately, it's the firefight they've got to take. Cryan kills Leon, gets him out of there as Rips gets the plant down. A bit of a blessing and a bit more of a scratch. But with one close and one just outside that double, it becomes a very tough approach. Rogue back ahead, 1 round.
Crouch walk there. Lexter was able to find that before he could even see the person outside on the balcony. Team kill in the end didn't matter. It wasn't Corey for a change. Normally it's him that gets the kills.
It's still Rogue's traditional team kill.
It's still Rogue's traditional team kill every single matchup you can find. But they do take back the lead for now. It's 3-2. Are they going to be able to get themselves a buffer? Because TrainHard is about to go over to the attack themselves. And, well, Rogue chose attack away from TrainHard. Of course, you don't know whether or not that was their favorite side, whether or not that was the side they wanted to go to. But you got to say it again. They chose Coastline for a reason. And if they manage to get this up to an equal split, you don't know what's going to happen in the second half.
Okie dokie, can they push themselves to a situation where they're, as you said, on the even split? You're still looking at Coastline, you're still looking at a map that does play well into the hands of attackers, and Rogue opted to start this on their attack, sure. With the introduction of Aruni, I would say more than most other operators, we've seen a bit of a kind of change in the pace of the approach in terms of how they can stop some of the attacks come through. It makes things a little bit more uncomfortable, having them on things like the hookah window, being able to burn some of the utility a little bit tighter. But at the same time, it's still something where it plays well into a good attack. It plays well into a good team that can tear apart the defenders and pull them into uncomfortable situations, because you kind of have to extend on Coast. The rooms themselves don't offer enough to lock yourself in. No. You'll see a team, and unlike on other maps where their hold will be maybe, 25-30% of a map on some of them, this is a good 80% you have to have.
I was going to say, on Coastline, if you're on the bottom floor, you either take directly the entire floor above it, or you take the entirety of the bottom floor under control to make sure that further horizontal play is not an option. And whereas, as you said, normally you extend 1, maybe 2 rooms out. In Coastline, you're literally across the map.
Yeah, Coastline, you extend 2 rooms out and you've taken the whole map anyway. And because of that, it becomes very tough because you're very quickly isolated. There's a run out, there's a, hey man, I know you're going to do that, and there's a, not doing that again.
Just getting the Mark 14s passing by. Not really going to be encouraging to try and go for that run out again if the angle might be watched. And first goal also coming through from Corey, giving away a bit of information to the players of Rogue who might be on a hunt or trying to clear out rooms using their drones to find out whether or not a sound is near or is active. As that's not the case, you now see Leon trying to take care of some of the utility that has been placed by the likes of TrainHard, making sure that the cams will be disabled and any other pieces of utility will be found.
One of the longest we've had every single player still alive for in a game where sometimes we've already had about 5 deaths at this point in time. So it shows that there's a bit of a slow, there's a lot of weight to this round as both teams are well aware. TrainHard, they can pull even, they put themselves in a good stead. Rogue, the 4-2, gives them that buffer to work on their defenses to try and stop TrainHard, which on their attacks can be so quick and so vicious in even the biggest play spaces and maps. So limiting that on a map like Coastline becomes a very big ask. Steady intel still being passed and dabbled between the two teams. Corey, in the meantime, has crept his way in and found a bit of a hold here, but it's instantly buffed and backed by Voy, waiting at the bottom of the stairs. The pressure comes on the second story. Corey just has to wait and hope somebody slips into his angle, and there it is. There's the fight with the Lesion. Valkyrie is there to try and swing on 2, but they, again, are worried about being isolated.
A lot of damage done onto Voy right there. He's really not going to be able to go into another gunfight, and as the first of the smoke canisters will be popped, there is still that player from below, and Nitro already pushed up, wondering if that is just to wait for the last very second as soon as the actual plan comes down, or if that will be blown up a little bit prematurely. 20 seconds left on the clock, however, and a little bit of an advantage here for Rogue.
The canister just popped in the middle of Hookah. I'm wondering if that was a mister or just a bit of missed intel as to where the push is. That C4, I think that's still there, and there it does. It gets the tailwind of the push and the pull. Suddenly everything's exploding at the top of the stairs, but you look at where all the bodies are. Rips, you've got to try and stick that diffuser. Goes in the middle of the wall, puts us into a 2 versus 2. They've got to stick this. They're in the best possible position because this is the only place Aces can offer the full cover and support. Finally gets his first kill. And it's very necessary at this moment in time. They are swinging and popping up. Voy again on a sliver of health. Puts Rips down almost as low. There is still that worry in the cover on the split push. As I said, it's the best possible place because they know they have to dig across this firefight. They don't have the time to go for anything close to a rotate. They've got to see if they can isolate the 2 firefights. Rips even lower. But he's still just trying to push one of them into an uncomfortable situation, doesn't find it. Aces finds a second, and Rogue find the 4-2 half.
Well played there by Rogue, able to realize, all right, we're not going to plant in default. We need to push up further. We need to get a couple of these skills out because there's not much time, and there's a bunch of utility left in the hands of TrainHard. As a result, dug deep, had to cover over on the lateral side, and that made sure that no one would be able to reach that reinforced wall. Good keeping track of utility as well, I have to say, because that would not be a very safe spot to plant if you wouldn't have known that there was C4s left. If there was C4s left, you wouldn't really go for that. And now we're going to go for the side swap. It is Rogue on the defense. We do see the 0 and the floors and the line coming out on the side of TrainHard. That is going to be quite promising. Of course, we heard Citizen talk about it previous game. If there's no Nomad, you go for 0, as it is a flank watch, and of course gives a lot of information. Of course, Nomad is available, but still 0, very powerful operator. And then you combo that with Lion, just getting the pinpoint on one of these players. Use the E1D right after, and maybe even use one of the Flores drones right after to force him to move, even if the E1D pops off. There's so many combinations they can go for here.
0 as well on the board there. Someone who we've seen have a bit of a run out, obviously, with an earlier introduction. I guess you kind of want to get a bit of a beat of where all those SAM cams are going to be placed and played. That big intel game. And obviously the big swap here is Valkyrie still on the board, but no IQ, which was a consistent in the pockets of Rogue. If we have those cameras go untested, it can cause very big problems, as we've seen before. There's the first. There was the one that was obviously seen and led into quite late on.
Now Voy looking to enter from the bar. Knows that there might be a player or two near. There's a bunch of vertical angles being created as well, and wants to get a drone in. Has one actually near, and probably spotted out Rips as well. And Rips, he's just trying to hold on to this bar, hold on to the area around there. And Voy now deciding to maybe fall off. Maybe it's not really the moment to go for it. As he just decides to re-drone it here, he finds out. Seems to be quite clear, so might actually have the opportunity to take Sunrise.
Waiting for a steady bit of intel to come through. It's a bit of a slower approach in terms of TrainHard compared to Rogue, but they're trying to isolate that single player, as you said and saw, and it's something where Cryan is the one that finds himself in a bit of a danger territory. The drone is getting as far up, realized it couldn't get much further, so takes care of that Bob, can then put pressure onto that shield next. It allows you to open up and alleviate some of the hold without really risking yourself or trying to burn through ADSs, as we see as the standard with grenades round onto that back wall. If they're not paying too much attention, it can be a great take and a great burst of explosive.
Can definitely be, and TrainH are doing a lot of preparation right here. They're taking in positions, they're setting themselves up on very different angles, and then they're looking to find an opening somewhere on anybody of Rogue, but they are staying quite put. There's two people around the library stairs, not library, the blue stairs, school vibe stairs, there we have it. One is actually inside of Hookah, and then we have one all the way below and one behind the minibar. So it is very wide, and so far no real challenges are being put up here for Rogue.
Yeah, TrainHard, they're trying to measure everything. They're trying to make sure that when it comes time to collapse, they have everything in their pocket. It's been a steady clear and a push of presence to get themselves into the situation, but with Voy on the bottom of Cool Vibes, with still this push coming from a mix of VIP and from luggage, they haven't quite found themselves able to isolate a single player yet. It means it's going to be a very explosive push. And it might start now as that E1D tears out. Blaz gets Leon there, waiting and swing by the door. Aces is the first to respond and react as the pressure comes round on the backside. Chaoxis digs himself deep, and it's Nura that finds one with Rips quick on the trade, and Cryan blocking off that body balance. The spray comes round. Chaoxis with a great double. Digs his way through onto the site and instantly finds it back into his favor. Cryan, though, they're well aware of where he is, but with only a sliver of time left, he can play this pretty well. Takes the first firefight, can't quite lock it off yet. It sprays either side. Who's going to get this early one?
No, even out of ammo!
Does. It took a second to reload before getting into the confrontation again, but unfortunately, not the same can be said for Rogue 4-3.
Scorpion ran out of ammo. It's not something you see every day in a gunfight where the ally is the one that needs to reload. Then those 10 bullets they took out 2 years ago really hit hard. Those 10 bullets would have been necessary.
That's the nerf.
That's the nerf.
Take 10 bullets.
Either way, it is getting a little bit closer now. TrainHard is able to close that gap, but just barely, you have to say. Rogue was in control for quite a long time. If any of those gunfights would have gone the other way, that could have been Rogue's round. Let's say it would have been Rogue's round, especially if it was the one onto Aces who peeked out onto the 0 and then was able to pick up a double kill as a result.
Yeah, it was that sort of, you could see they were setting themselves up for this multi-dimensional push from a few different sides. They had all the facets in place, but as you said, when you're going for a push like that, when you're going for a take like that, it falls down to winning your ones.
Yeah.
Which is always a gamble. You can measure up
50-50s.
Yeah, and everybody at this tier, everybody in this sort of competition, especially with the recent sort of roster changes across the boards of any of the regions, is built around being able to get into gunfights and win them. There was a bit of a swing of favor where old school supports saw less and less sort of play because the game got very quick and very aggressive with the big changes around ADSs.
Yeah, definitely so. So super teams emerge, of course. Not that many of them are still left standing. But the fragging department is definitely one that is very important in our game. And as right now the E1D is being popped, surely there must be a drone to give some extra information away, but it doesn't seem to be the case. And, well, Blast will just be waiting, we'll be holding, we'll be trying to get some extra information out, as now the Nitro will pop to open up that hatch. However, line already long in, Blast will not really be challenged from that angle. However, Rips is looking to bring the challenge from the other way, and this gives opportunity of potentially going from two sides at once.
Yeah, they're opening up those in corridor windows, drones that were burning their way. Blaz just cut himself in. We don't need Amaru, and we're just going to rappel our way in just as fast. He decided as soon as they gave away the game, they didn't try and cover it. They just dug themselves through. Voice suffers next, and Blaz gives him a little bit of support from the opposite side as the drones still were their way away. They've been able to take some of the control here on the front door, but look at this. Aces just on that front door, swings out against them, takes service and says, hey man, I'm over here. You gotta still pay some attention to us. The Sam Cams down the corridor and up the top are gonna get some very good beats and reads, but it's Leon. It's in a very tough, tricky situation. The drone catches them. There's the first firefight, takes it brilliantly. There is someone on the opposite side, I believe, of the courtyard, but they haven't quite swung through just yet. Sprays all over the shop, but it's Cryan that finally offers some support, and there is Blast that I talked about before. Yeah, that won't do that from that range, my friend.
Try to kill him with the Gaunt 6. Might have thought he had a pistol instead. Shot that one charge that should do 10 damage, but unfortunately didn't quite hit him. And with that, of course, had to quickly reload. Nothing too bad, just no more Gaunt 6 in hand to use on a potential piece of utility you tried to take care of. Luckily, not really such a thing. There's no shields, there's no evil eyes that you need to take care of, so not a real big loss. And instead, we will be letting it boil down to a 2-on-3 gunfight. 40 seconds are left on that clock, and well, Rogue are finding themselves quite comfortable, you can say.
Yeah, they've still got to do a lot of work up here. They obviously have the sledge to try and bury their way down, but Aces still has that C4 in pocket too. They have the potential to cause some problems. And Cryan, while he doesn't need it, he just gets himself into the gunfight and gives them more to think about. The sprays come through. They're looking for anything, but with only 15 seconds left and a slight move away from that, there's the damage done to Cryan. The C4 popped a bit early. He's hopped behind the reception desk. And Durza is able to get a great pick up there. It's a 1 versus 1 out of nowhere, but there's only 5 seconds, 4 seconds, and not too many more.
Enough time, maybe.
One way. He almost had it, Corey, though. Break dances to success.
Sometimes you just got to break dance a little to make sure you win that round. That's exactly what Corey did. Able to pick it up in the end, and with that, Rogue now on 5. 2 more rounds away of taking the full win. 1 round away of taking at least a point home. And a point is going to be more important than you might know. Because if we're looking back at 2020, Stage 1, that was Rogue all the way on the top. And then we remember Stage 2 and we realized that they found themselves in relegations right after. So you never know if that 1 point that you could get right now is going to be a difference maker. If it's going to be securing your spot into EUL just a little bit earlier to alleviate some of that pressure. And this round could give that point. And this round opens up the gates to a potential 3 points.
I think more than any other team, Rogue are aware of how a split can define you.
Yes, I think they are.
Yeah, and to be fair, you look at how sort of the games have gone across the board, and Rogue, they're around 4th in the first split. They're around mid-table. It's not entirely successive and convincing yet, but at the same time, Secret, who were 10th, and Na'Vi versus 1st, that game went away from what people expected, and with Empire slightly stumbling, TrainHard could have this moment to say, okay, well, we need to put some distance, because if the bottom of the board is catching us up, the split of points, you know, there was about 3 or 4 teams that are around 14 points heading into the last day and ending around that mark.
Yeah, so you know, every single point will count, and both these teams will feel that. Rogue, of course, having some experience with that, as Blast will be able to pick up the very first kill in this round. Beautiful headshot with that V308, and as now the Boom Boom Bots are about to be sent in. They do find out there is an Orcs right around the corner. Cryan almost losing his life right there, and Leon gets deciding to lend some support. But Blast is just swinging in with that 308.
I mean, he is pre-firing everything he needs to, and he's making it look so easy. And that's the thing about this player is we've always said he has the possibility to be one of those amazing young gunners. Leon, in the meantime, is trying to cut him off in his pride. But Blaz, a great take there. Heard the audio and made that gun sing with all of the bullets that he has in the mag. It was a good attempt by Leon, but he couldn't quite make it mark 5-3. And it's looking quite daunting in this 5 versus 2 with 2 minutes left. So much time for the attackers to reconstruct.
Blast just did a Blast thing right there and was able to pick up some huge kills. Now the floors will be used to open up the wall right behind the blue bar, which enables a potential plant to come through, to be facilitated. And Aces is trying to go for a bit of a challenge, but Blast is going to be able to pick up a squad kill. He's going to be going for the ace right here. Nora, in the meantime, will be going for the plant. Corey will be dug in deep, and Blast gets the final headshot as well. That's an ace right there with the Lion and the V308. Some of them a bit handed with Leon jumping down, but beautiful shots nonetheless, just chasing them all down as they're trying to run away from the Predator.
I mean, you have to sort of shout out how big he's been in terms of just getting into the rounds, getting into the firefights, and getting aggressive against the hold here, because before, as we said, TrainHard were sometimes a bit slow in sort of calculating and coordinating, and it made things get a bit scrappy at the end. Having a player like Blaz with the talent that he's got and digging them in so quickly, so aggressively right towards the heart of the site and sort of saying, okay, well, we know they're going to be spread out a bit here, and we know we need to win our ones and win this fight in this situation. to have a player of that caliber and skill being the one going, don't worry, guys, I've got it, on his day is such a powerful force.
Just push through and just look at the other kills on the side of TrainHard. 3, 7, 2, 5. It is pretty wild. Let's just say it like that. It's not evenly divided like we would see sometimes on other teams. The same goes for Rogue, however. See Cryin really stepping up right there, then Leon and Corey following shortly behind. But either way, round number 10 underway. Rogue wasn't able to get the all-important round to secure yourself the first points and open up the gateways towards a potential 3. That means TrainHard is getting closer and closer as we speak. They have the opportunity to equalize the score here again. And if they do, there is the opportunity to fight yourself for that first point and the gateway to 3.
Aces is the one that's sort of trying to find himself in a little bit more on the second half. At a bit of a slow start to a map that can really reward aggressive creative gunners, and I think the more he finds himself is the better of an opportunity they find themselves in to drop towards the bottom of the stairs, but they weren't pushing that way either way. Now instead they've got their eyes firmly focused towards that hookah window, cover themselves as the movement comes. They know that they're playing hyper-aggressive. We have a body down in Sunrise as well. Aces in the meantime has actually pulled himself slightly further away, asked for a bit more support, saying, hey, I'm under a bit of pressure on these windows. Can I have something around cool vibes? Rips is the one that fills in that mantle, but it's otherwise the spread far on the opposite side. They might not be aware of the body with that Cryin that's still in service underneath.
For now, using one of the drones to at least get a little bit of information and take out the utility as well. We'll be getting both the shield and the ADS. I was going to say, we'll be getting it, yes. The shield was thinking about maybe standing up, but in the end thought, you know what, it's time to go to sleep. Either way, 2 minutes on that clock, and TrainHard is well, forcing some players out of position, is taking care of some of the utility, and if they continue doing that, they have the opportunity on attacking side very soon.
Well, the SAM cams are doing all the work that they can, are able to take care of just another bit of utility before it gets removed from the hard wall, allows them to crack this open. A steady angle with the hard struct charge as Blaz is the one that creeps his way on the opposite side, locks off luggage and Aqua too. They have the camera, they have the ideas. There's also somebody buried underneath still in office by the looks of it, but it is unfortunately just Cryin on that situation. No C4 in pocket, nothing that they can use to cause the mass devastation that we've otherwise sometimes seen on these Acra approaches. A steadier build here as they spread themselves across both sides. Chaos is in a situation to offer the trade if need be that was otherwise pulled through before, but Blaz doesn't quite have the confidence to fully throw himself in just yet. They need a little bit more to come from the push on the opposite side.
Grenades being tossed in, the drone taken care of before it can anchor itself in and make sure it becomes bulletproof. With that, we stay into a 5-on-5 situation right now with about 36 seconds left. Are they going to be able to make this stick? There you have it, a drone through the drone. Is going to be able to at least dig himself right in there, and that is going to be making it quite difficult for Corey in his current position. He'll be forced out just a little bit, but stays alive.
Pre through the C4 as it's only 20 seconds left. They know they've got to throw themselves in, and Leon got the opener on the swing, but it's Voy inside the site as they suddenly bleed their way through. Blaz with a great pickup and Rips with revenge, trying to stick the diffuser onto the default, but they realize they need to bury themselves a little bit closer away from that hole underneath. They've got this body advantage. It's just Rips left, but they see him first, and TrainHard bring us back to a balance of 5 apiece.
There we have it. Now we can see TrainHard fight for the 3 points themselves as well. As we very smoothly go into a bit of a timeout for Rogue. Because
it was a little bit unexpected. But at the same time, maybe we should have expected it. Because you're on a 5-5, you're in a situation where you were close to being able to push yourself onto map point way earlier than you could have been. It could have been a 6-3, and then you've got 3 chances to lock it off. But instead, they've once again been able to crawl and claw their way back. And at this point, you're thinking, okay, what is missing from stopping TrainHard?
Well, what is missing?
2 potential answers, and that's the worry at the play right now, because what we're seeing from TrainHard is 2 slightly different attacks. There's the ones where they have the intel and they'll work very quickly on it. They'll utilize the drones and the E1D and they'll say, well, we've got a body here just on the other side of office. Let's dig in and get the fight. But then also there's situations like there where we just saw where they're like, okay, well, we have rough ideas on where everybody is, so we'll clear this room and now we've got this space and we'll play around it. And you're seeing, I think, it most obvious in Cryin where they're trying to struggle to work out where to put Cryin. He's on that role in service on that site, for example, to try and be a bit of a first engagement. And they just go past him. They just sort of ignore him. So he goes to reception and he can't quite find a way up. It's a tricky fight up those white stairs. Doesn't take it, opts to then go to office where he's not needed there. And that sort of consistent repositioning of a player, you know, he ended up, I think, taking the fight and dying around Cool Vibes. He's been on every single corner of that ground floor. It's not the biggest floor, but it shows that they're trying to work out how to approach the entrance of TrainHard.
TrainHard not really having it. And this is the unknown factor I was warning Rogue for, or was warning for in terms of Rogue should be scared of this. Because TrainHard chose this for a reason, and now they're under attack. Now you see what makes them so strong on this map. And what allows them to potentially pick up points here, because they have been able to fight back. They have been able to get some consecutive rounds here. Now, as I said, they have the opportunity to secure themselves 1 point already, and the potential to fight for 3. But of course, goes for both teams right now. This is round 11, the point where one of these two teams will be reaching the 6 mark.
The pulse echoes out around the hallowed halls of Coastline, but it's quickly followed and punctured by the bullets that spray over Kix's new car. Did you see that one posted?
I saw that one, yes. Beautiful car.
Yeah, beautiful car. Congratulations. It looks very nice, Kix. Ace is actually going to cover it up. He doesn't want to look at it for now. He's a bit envious of the new speedster that you have, but instead it's Blaz that again has dug his way through from office. A call comes out and it's Cryin that suffers first. Does it? You lose your Jaeger, you lose your player that's been able to get into the teeth and bite back against TrainHard so far, and it's a bit of an unfortunate cost that they've just paid here.
Definitely is, and again you see Blaz in this point in security looking to find some of these kills, and the drones will be finding out the positioning of one of these players. For now, it's just holding off steadily, though. Will not be going too aggressive, and will be making sure that his position stays strong and stays secure, as they do not want to lose ground and do not necessarily need to take it as where he is right now.
The spray comes through. Leon finds himself under pretty immense pressure. He rotates round slightly, getting himself a bit more support as more explosives pop off either side. Sees one drone. Quite sure what happened to the Flores drone, if it got caught in the mix. No, it just popped on the other side, opened up the wall instead. I thought they were trying to be hyper-aggressive with it, but instead just partially aggressive. Now as the grenade pops over the top, perfectly played by Does there. But look at that intense pressure that TrainHard had, as I said. Sometimes they go for the site, sometimes they go for the man. That was a full cost, and it was very well spent.
It is indeed, and Rips right now, his position will be challenged. Durza pushing in as well, able to pick up aces. Now they need to find Corey, will be able to find him, and it's just a flawless round from TrainHard. And they set themselves up onto that match point. The match point Rogue wanted to have so badly. And it's going to be TrainHard to get that first point secured, and you see a little bit of relief in their faces. You see some smiles. But they also know it's not over yet. They still need to fight this round to try and make it to the full 3 to make sure that they are closing the gap to that midfield that they so badly want to be in throughout this stage. Because that does qualify you for a major if you end up top 4 in the end. And now the majors are going to be back.
I know.
That is going to be the big, well, goal for everybody in the UL.
Yeah, it's a little bit of a bout of frustration. You can see they've obviously taken the time out and it hasn't been successful. And this is the first time we've seen them on the back foot. This is the first time we've seen them not have at least the advantage, if not even. So Rogue, they've let 3 rounds slip through their fingers. The first time a team has been able to find 3 rounds in a row, and they just need 1 to try and get themselves into OT and secure at least a point. If you're unaware how the rules have been recently, if you get to OT, you're guaranteed at least 1 point for losing, 2 for winning. You win outright, you get all 3. The only way to not get a point is to not make it to OT as the losing side. So they're just 1 round away from something that, as you said at the very beginning of this, could be so precious in the long run.
Especially with what they know 2020 was like for themselves. Will be very keen on at least bring this one back to a draw for now and overtime to be activated. And Corey here on the spawn peak will be missing his opportunity, trying to go for the re-peak there, and we'll have to make sure that he comes out alive in this one. Otherwise that could have been dooming the round. We'll stay alive for now.
Puts a bit of fear into Durza there, and it means they might have to be a bit more cautious in terms of some of the approach. But otherwise, when you're playing that role, obviously with the Vigil, you can sort of mess around with the attention that might now get paid and the focus. But as I said before, and as we've seen from TrainHard, sometimes they'll evaluate the cost of manpower, of actually burning utility and trying to get rid of a singular body, and instead go, well, this allows us to take this instead, and we can work on this, and we can pull them out of that position just by saying, well, we've now got all of this territory, ha 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 ha, what are you going to do about it?
That's a big question. What are they going to do about it? Is Void right here just getting up real close to the edge right there, quickly checking over if one was in courtyard? Of course, not the case, and we'll continue to use the SR-25 to try and find out one of these angles to make sure that the opening kill will be going in the way of TrainHard, because that would be so valuable right now. Blaz, the man who has been able to pick up an ace earlier on, gets a very good spot right there. Will be activating the E1D, but needs to make sure that he's not going too aggressive, because Aces is waiting right behind the desk.
Yeah, Aces is the one that wants to be the man that meets him and checks his bag in, amongst other things. It's also some of the mounting pressure that's come towards the backside of the site. There is a quick bout of, hey, oh, and hides very quickly before the pressure mounts. You can see Rips has rotated a little bit closer to offer some support if it's needed, but in the meantime, Durza and Corey find one apiece across the board. Out the door, drops that diffuser cold and swings his way back round. He was a problem before, and he's going to make sure he continues to be a problem as the round deepens. We're about to pass the minute marker, and we still have 8 players left, and they've been able to recollect the diffuser pretty quickly, but that could be a kill that starts to define things.
So dangerous of Blast, just walking down there with his gun down on the ground as he is, just sprinting past. You knew one was behind that desk, and you just put yourself very vulnerable for that peek that just happened upon you. And, well, now the plans are shifting. They're going from the bar, they're trying to push into the hallway, and they will be using these Flores drones to put up some extra pressure and create some extra angles. It's just that there's 34 seconds left on that clock. It's not much time, but they will have to make it work.
Rips, in the meantime, he's rotated his way back round, but it's Corey with the double, leaves just the 2 bodies inside Sunrise. They've got to hightail it and hop their way to that diffuser to then probably just only dig themselves in through the kitchen window. I don't think they have any other options in terms of timing, so they're just going to have to take this full gun barrel aggro. Durza gets that opener, it puts them into this situation of 10 seconds, burn through everything inside, and takes the first fight if they can. Can't quite make it, so has to look down, hold F, cry, and swings round. Great bait and play. Now you've got to stick it, but now there's no time left, and we, for the first time today, go to OT.
There we have it. We saw some smiles on the faces of Rogue right before they went into round number 12, and I was like, all right, it's good to see that they can laugh now in such a critical point up in the matchup. I managed to make that one stick. Now we have the potential for 3 more rounds. 3 more rounds. And it's either of these teams to take. Still, big difference is only 2 points on the line now. Who will be the one walking away with that bonus point?
So the removal of the Amaru, obviously it limits a team that enjoys playing with her. And I would say, well, what else could you have removed? But to be fair, the Lion in the hands is the one that I look to next, because in the hands of TrainHard, in the hands of Blaz, it's been exceptional. Rogue did play around with it, but I don't think it was as sort of monumental as I would say it's been for TrainHard.
And they went off of it as well at some point. So they're clearly not too keen on keeping that one in the lineup, even though it might be quite effective if used right.
Why does he... Okay, Voy has doubled down, so he's still playing without the owls.
Yes.
And again, you're really curious. You want to see... Because he was cut down, I think, before he was able to take a firefight beforehand. You want to see what the success is, why the idea of bringing this when you have the other shotguns and you have, obviously, the RX to open the rotations that you might possibly need. It's just curious, because you also then have the secondary. Sure, it's much slower at opening the...
No, I'm going to look over to the analyst desk and ask, is this site what the reason why they...
I mean, it's down to those guys to ask. It's down to those guys to...
I'm just wondering if they would know right now. So
Jess knows Voy very well. Jess knows Voy very well.
Do they use the ACS 12, I believe it's called, for the sight over the Alda on Maestro?
Not usually.
Not usually. All right. This doesn't get us anything else. Yeah, but okay, so they're saying it's to open walls, but you already have 4 shotguns and an Oryx.
We are purely theorizing. As I said, we're very curious. to know this situation. Now Milosh is going off being talking about, I'm just a desk host.
I'm just a host. Why are you asking me? We're just trying to figure it out whilst we go.
He does all of his predictions with a coin.
He's blaming the coin now.
Blaming the coin. Flip the coin. Find out why.
During SI, I was like, oh my god, the coin's so amazing. And I was like, I hate this coin, dude.
Saddened by the coin.
It's not the same one we know. Don't worry.
A minute has passed. Maybe like, why are we talking about Milosh? Well, otherwise we're in one of those slow rounds again. But this time it's Rogue that are the ones that are taking the slower and steadier approach. They haven't been able to find that opening engagement that was otherwise quite quick for them beforehand. There weren't too many rounds where they went with this big sort of expedition around most of the map. The exploration of all of the positions. A bit of a miss. A bit of a wide grenade. You see Cryon was like, dang. There. Unfortunately, we've got a bit of an audio bug, but we'll run through it. Asus finds Nura, takes care of that first engagement, suffers a little bit from cool vibes, but he's dug himself into a great situation here. Cryon has the cover there and takes care of Blaz, rotating round the bottom of the white stairs. They're still droning up. They're still trying to find a bit of a loose body here, working under the feet and ahead. The Gemini is doing the same bits too. Pops the Valkyrie, and that's an important moment because if she's toying with popping over there, we saw where Asus was before.
We saw that indeed, and Leon now will be able to spot out that evil eye, asking for a piece of utility removal or a grenade to go that way to try and maybe take care of it. As that will be tossed in deep and will not be able to find either. Valkyrie camera will be taken out though, so that means Courtyard will no longer be under surveillance from the side of TrainHard. With that, a piece of information will be gone. However, that evil eye that is stuck in the back of the kitchen wall right there is going to be so valuable, especially in this late round. So much information can be gained from that.
Well, there's Corey lurking towards that Maestro, dug in on the bathroom. Their range is obviously a much different sort of firefight that they can take. Can be long, but look at Durza.
That's some
creeping
oh my
god, the back, finds
Durza!
one, finds two, the hop out, can't quite find the third 30 seconds. They go for safety, and that was such a rotation, untested, and Vory finds one with that big beast of a gun, but Leon finds some revenge. 2 versus 2, 10 seconds on the board. He's digging his way through sight, sees the Valkyrie, can't quite lock it off. Goes right up, collateraled through the two bodies.
No way.
Rogue. One round away yet again.
You have Durza with such great trigger discipline, able to get a double kill, maybe even a little bit more out of it. And then you line up like that. And you just give away the round to Rogue. It was almost brought back, and now Rogue are the ones that have the opportunity to take this matchup with a W, and with that, take the 2 points. As of course, the 3 are out of question. TrainHard already have their 1 point secured. Rogue does as well. But they have the match point in their hands now. In their control. And they will be going over to the defense. One final time on the defense. Hookah Billiards.
Well, let's see how it comes together. Let's see what the changes come through. As I said, a lot of eyes are on Blaz and that role of the Lion. They were able to dig themselves in good situations before, but this was the site where they were a bit slower on their approach. They obviously dug themselves onto Hookah and luggage from the sort of opposite sides, but at the same time, they still had a bit of a presence, originally causing problems on VIP, originally causing problems around the corridor that batters itself in. I'm curious about the adaptations that we might see. We've seen a bit of a late use of C4s. They're still not playing into the smoke for this site, and I guess, you know, I think one of the things that we've seen from TrainHard quite good on their pushes is they won't hold around the default plant spot. They realize very quickly that there's stuff set up to prevent it, so they dig themselves further on, and I think they're more expecting these quick firefights to come through.
The thing is, with the smoke rework, you cannot really get it through that pixel anymore, which you can use to get the so you need to actually expose yourself to make sure you get it in, or you need to play on Hookah, of course, behind the reinforced wall to try and lob it in far enough. But of course, you're also going to be exposing yourself as you do that, because you cannot angle them, you cannot bounce them off a wall. So it's a bit more dangerous to play that smoke now. So it's maybe going to be a bit better to play your setup around it. Maybe bring an extra nitro cell to try and bait them in so you can get the kill that way. What can you do? We've seen him do such great things together with Blaz. And they're going to be able to make sure that TrainHard are fighting back to a 7-7.
Corey on this attempted counter down beneath with the Vigil. He's trying to cause a lot of problems. Rips has his support if he needs it. The explosion pops off just behind Blaz. They're still trying to isolate just a single body. It's a steady clear underneath, a slightly different approach than we've seen them go before. Instead, they're going to see if they can cut off that vertical control, and I guess it's down to them to see if they can make it work and survive. Corey's still rotating around, still causing problems. The adaptation of putting the two bodies underneath instead of just leaving Cryan in that situation. They've pulled him back to the second story. They've pulled him back towards the site itself and opted for this obviously a little bit more malleable rotation in Rips and Corey. Enough time to be able to be wasted by that duo. And that's sort of, again, the adaptation here from TrainHard has played against that and played into those hands.
Here comes a drone, but will be taken care of before it can even anchor itself in. And with that, Rogue are going to be able to continue to hold onto that barbed wire for now. It's not the biggest piece of utility, but it will be helpful if an eventual push will come through. Another attempt will be made. This time it will anchor in, I believe, and take care of that wire. Of course, again, not the biggest of losses if you lose that one. You just got to make sure that you do not lose your shields. You do not lose the other pieces of utility that will be located a bit further up those stairs. And as TrainHard is setting themselves up, a lot of the utility will be tossing. Grenades will be coming in as well. They're trying to go for these kills now.
They took a bit of a gamble and tried to go with an alternate approach, but it was shut down a bit by Leon on the Cool Vibe stairs. Another body falls to Aces. They tried a bit of a risk here on the final attempt, the final possible round. Instead of doing the push that they'd done the first two successfully, they went with a third and expected a little bit more of a countenance. But unfortunately for them, the counter has sort of applied itself to this site and this hold either way. Rogue have been able to hold themselves steady for now, puts Durza and Nura into a tricky situation as they see if they can just pull one more player out. There's a bit of a separation between the two. Durz has dug himself underneath to see if he can strike at a loose body and get someone by a bit of surprise. But with only 10 seconds, what they do is have to be quick. They have to try and drive themselves round. They go for the close fight. There's two stacked up down this corridor. Finds the first, can't find the second. And now as it swings round, a very shaky firefight is ended by Cryan and Rogue against what was a fantastic resurgence by TrainHard, who still get a point. Unfortunately, don't quite match Rogue's two.
Unfortunately for them, they'll just get a point. Rogue will be able to get two, and TrainHard will be not too happy with that. Leon is happy though. He's.
I think that was a bit of a moment of, okay, we did it. I think they felt that they should have locked that game out earlier on.
Yes, they should have probably.
And you could see they were getting a little bit frustrated. It goes their way in the end. But you've also sort of got to take, you know, how things are into consideration. That was a first game for Voy in terms of the lineup for TrainHard. I think it was a good start for them. I'm curious to see where they go with it. But at the same time, it's Rogue. It's a first day win. The curse hasn't come back. They've been able to get something on the second split. Probably a good moment for Rogue fans to have that sigh of relief and be like, it's not happening again this time. For now, though, let's throw it over to the desk and see what they have to say.
Thank you so very much, M and Hap. Yes, what a game on Coastline. I know it is your favorite map. At the end of the day, TrainHard got so close. Yeah. So close to victory. And you really have to feel them. You saw Voy's face after that Leon clutch down below in the kitchen. But Rogue victorious, took it to OT and at least get those 2 points.
Absolutely. I mean, looking back at the first half, it felt quite chaotic between the two sides, very fast-paced rounds, a lot of uncertainty round to round. The second half, things did slow down a little bit, and I'll give that to Rogue. Mute Mozzie being brought along on a map like this is always going to draw intel away from the other side and slow things down a little bit. Outside of that, you saw big moments from so many players. One I've really got to shout out, by the way, despite being on the losing side, has got to be Blaz. He had a really rough last stage. We were saying, Blaz, we've seen what you can do on Penta. When are you really going to arrive? This game, he was on course to 20 kills. He had an absolute field day. So I'm hoping that sort of thing can carry across into future weeks, because that'd be great to see for these boys.
Yeah, I wanted to actually bring over onto his stats because he ended up being the fragger. Oh, that is his role, and he hasn't changed from it since he joined Tier 1. And he actually had a .94 rating with a -6 at the end for his KD, and he didn't really do the job of a fragger that's expected. And we actually expected really big things. If he was going to be one of the biggest and best and brightest players from CL to come on in, and unfortunately didn't have that impact. But you're right, had a massive impact. You do have to give him a bit of a round of applause. Also to Voy as well. I know in the first first half he had a bit of a tricky warm into the game, and then the second half things started to shine, and understandably so. For me now, I definitely think that Rogue, look, I think it was 3 different players that ended on double-digit kills. Yep. It was a frag fest, and I could feel it every single round.
Understandable given coastline and the way that things ended up here. Though, let us have a chat with the victors of this game. We got Rogue and Leon Gids. Here
Hi guys. Hello.
Hey, hello, Leon.
How are you guys doing?
Well, we're pretty good. Yet another team in the bin, as you would say. We saw the reactions at that one round that led you to OT, where you collected the 2 kills in kitchen. That was a lucky lineup, not gonna lie.
Yeah, well, you take it as you can.
And you did take it. That is the important piece here. Rogue coming in, and of course, the fear on everybody's minds is, oh, good Lord, please, no Stage 2 2020. And you know what? It held up. You got 2 points out of it. TrainHard at least pushed you to the edge in this one. What did you feel was the most difficult piece for you to adapt through in this game? You went to Coastline. What's the deal here?
Well, we played GSA yesterday, and we played Coastline, and we just went in having fun, and we smashed G2 on it. So we thought, hey, we wasn't gonna play Coastline, but why don't we just play it now? So we did no prep on it really. We kind of just played how we did yesterday. We just, we went very fluid, very dynamic. Just pick what you want, have fun with it. Other than that, we did like I said, no prep. So we just went in just seeing what they'll do. And I think the reason we went like OT and we kind of choked it was because we just got scared. We had the advantage. People just wanted to play safe. They didn't want to give the picks away in case we lost the rounds and we lost our advantage. So, as we got to OT and the timeout came, I told them all, forget everything we've just spoke about. We're going full aggression. Valkyrie cam's outside. We're going to peek them. We're not letting them in the building. And we did that on the last round, and it worked out pretty well.
Fair enough. Gis?
Look, I wanted to ask a little bit about you personally. I know you're surrounded by the Germans of your squad, and you've been doing the very best that you can to keep, the English-speaking side of the team alive. But regardless of the memes around that, how do you feel you've performed as sort of the seasons have gone on, or rather the stages have gone on? You've changed roles every now and then. You've seen a little bit of criticism, but you're still standing strong with a lot of frags behind you. Do you feel that you're still considerably up there in the fragging department?
I'd say coming in with the new season and the new meta, it definitely brought back a lot of the passion and the motivation for the game. I felt like I rejuvenated. I could play better, and because I had these new roles as well, it was a bit different for me because hard breach and support is not really my thing. Yeah. I just played it because Arkoff was like, "You're not allowed to peek anymore. Get on that hard breach."
Reasonable.
That's the only reason I'm on it. So they realized over the season, me and Arkoff, that I'm stepping up a bit more overall. So he wanted to try me on different roles. And we're kind of redoing how roles work. We're not doing traditional roles in Siege on Rogue anymore. We can go into that later. It's very long and detailed, but
fair enough.
Yeah. The new meta just brings back the love, and I do think I'm definitely still able to keep myself up there, even if I do troll and get a few opening deaths every now and again.
How old are you? Just a question.
I'm 21.
Oh, 4 more years until you retire on Thermite.
Yeah.
I've got loads of years under my belt.
He's got way more frags to come yet. Hey, man, I got a question for you as well about the mentality in the team, because I joked out there, and it is still half a joke. Promise I'm not trying to stereotype here. We saw the whole team smiling on camera at once. I can't recall ever a time that I've seen the entire Rogue team smiling and having a laugh. Normally it was quite stern faces. Maybe the results didn't help that. But how has the mentality changed now? You've had Meepy a few months as well. You've had some help from Bernadette as well. Has that really leveled you guys up in terms of the attitude and mentality? Because Rise on the interview earlier was saying the same. The attitude, the mental has been the big shift for them. Is it the same for you boys?
It definitely has been the big shift. Bernie and Meepy, as you said, come to the team start of the stage, last stage. And I think everything they tell us and everything we try to ingrain as a team, fundamentally, we're trying to be more honest with each other. Before, it wasn't really always the most honest. And we always tried to address concerns and any issues we have straight away, so that the team is always on their top level and we can get anything that any issue anyone has straight out of it. Forget about it, clean mindset straight into a game. And Bernie, she really pushes that for us. We have a Discord. It has different values that we have as the team, and we try to respect them. And every 2 weeks we reevaluate how the team is looking. based on those values, and we grade it from like F to S. And yeah, we just tried to make sure we explain why we ranked that as we did and what we can improve on.
I love it. That's the kind of coordination you want to see in a professional team these days, right? You look at like top tier sports teams and how serious they are. It sounds like a lot of teams like you guys are really starting to step to that level. Wicked to hear.
That's the experience that Bernie brings in. We talked about her experience over many years in the LEC and as a professional herself. So
I mean, think about the Astralis effect. Remember, they couldn't quite get to the finals time and time and time again. They bring in a sports psychologist and they become some of the biggest names in the world. And all it took was one singular expert to come on in.
Basically, Leon, you boys are going to be the next superstars, is what you're saying there.
I'm just leading you guys into it. I'll see you next year at SI 2022.
Not my words.
There you go. Nobody can use that for the unfortunate events account for this one. Leon, congratulations again on your victory. Always a pleasure to have you here. Next week, you get to play against Secret, who seem to be revitalized today after taking down Na'Vi. Anything you'd like to say to your opponents?
Well, I heard Packball was talking some smack earlier on his interview. So, you know, Packball better get ready for the game because we're not letting them go easy.
Yet another bin is awaiting many of the teams that are out there. Well, Leon, unfortunately, we couldn't see you at Invitational performing. It's something that we can look at for next year and for Europe in general. Anything you'd like to say to the fans out there?
Thank you all for the constant support. We're guaranteed not a stage 2 road from last season, which we all love to see. You know, and we're just going to keep trying our best and making sure that we do everyone proud.
All right, well, the best is yet to come. 2 points is what you run away with at the end of this play day. Leon, as I said before, always a pleasure to have you on here. And finally, we can have your beautiful face in our studio. And that is kind of the best way to end our night.
Beautiful way to end. You're absolutely right.
I know.
Love it.
Leon, it's been a long time since we've all been together in one location. So let's pray for that at some point in time.
The start of good signs. The start of good signs.
Thank you so much. And again, congratulations. We'll see you on your next play day where you face off against Team Secret. Until then, good night.
Good night, guys.
Bye-bye.
Good night, everyone.